Members, confirmation of the minutes just read.
I, Cynthia Muge, do confirm that these are the true records of the previous minutes.
Chepkemei Clara seconding.
Thank you. Any matter rising?
Chairman.
Honorable Fred.
Ningependa kupata habari kuhusu. Unajua nimesikia mtu anasema acting. Wameact for how long? Kwa sababu kulingana na sheria kuna kiwango haifai kupita hapo. Kwa sababu nikiangalia mkurugenzi mwenye alitoka hapa kama alienda service port ni almost 2 years ama mwaka ngapi?
Yeah. So we go back to your invitation. The first invitation was to the CCM, who is here. That is Mr. Jacob Tanui. The second invitation is the Chief Officer. I'm happy that the 2 Chief Officers are here, even though maybe the letter was 1, but I know Dr. Boit is in charge of, which one, trade? Yes, and then Mr. Toet is in charge of industrialization. They are both here. Then the fourth invitation was the director. So who is the acting director here? Mr. Kurgat or Mr. Ruta? Kurgat. You are also in charge of, you are the project manager? Or he is project manager. Then, do you have the procurement officer here? You are the procurement officer?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So Honorable Fred has asked a pertinent question here, which would hope the CC member should respond. When did Mrs. Mayo exit as the director?
Thank you, Chair, for that question. I think I might not have the exact dates of the exits of the former director, but with your permission, you could allow me to probably give my director, acting director Cliff, to tell us when he joined the department and under which terms, kindly.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. As the member had already requested for confirmation on the acting, I can confirm that I began acting on the 2nd of March last year, just during when the COVID pandemic started. I'm on my 2nd acting term now, which began on the 8th of September this year.
Do you have appointment letters?
Yes, I have the appointment letters.
Might you have them here?
I don't have them here, but maybe just on soft copy.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Fred.
Hiyo ndio kwa sababu sheria inasema maadamu mwezi 6 inafaa atakuwa ametoka kwa ofisi. Alafu ya pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, kama alipewa hiyo appointment letter walifanywa vetting. Kwa sababu kulingana na sheria lazima afanywe vetting ndio aingie kwa hiyo. Kila mtu lazima aingie kwa ofisi, Mheshimiwa Chair. Kwa sababu unajua kwa hii serikali tumesikia kila mtu anasema acting. Sasa inamaanisha haifuatwi, kuna sheria haifuatwi. Kwa sababu kitambo mtu ameact for 6 months, kurudia pili angekuwa ameandikwa kazi.
As Honorable Fred has said, the legality of acting capacity is not exceeding 6 months. So, as you've said, Cliff, you've said you are in the 2nd phase of your acting. Did they give you a new letter for the same?
Yes, Chair.
So you have a letter for September
Yes.
showing that they renewed your acting capacity.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Honorable Fred, you remember that the only officers who are due for vetting are the CCMs and the COs. The directors are not due for vetting. The only legal thing here is extending his acting capacity. At the end of 6 months, they should either have advertised for that position or appointed you substantially. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that, Chair.
Oh, thank you. I would request members, maybe you can proceed with the matter at hand, and then we handle the issue of acting during another session.
Mheshimiwa Chair, unajua ndio nilikuwa nauliza hiyo sheria kwa sababu hakuna mtu anaonge kwa sheria, hakuna mtu anaongezewa mara mbili. Hakuna extension kwa sheria. Sasa kama imeisha inamaanisha hiyo barua alipewa ifanye kazi. Yeye sio supposed kuwa hiyo kwa hiyo ofisi.
Chair, if you
Yes, Bwana Tanui.
If you could, I totally agree with Mheshimiwa Fred on that aspect of acting, and unfortunately, it is not within the purview of the department to make those kind of considerations and decisions. You see, the appointing authority is not within our mandate as a department. It is something which best could be answered probably by the office of the CS or administration, or the people, the appointing authority of this county, because you see, he cannot confirm himself, and the best I can do from my side or from our department would be just to do some recommendation that we feel it is the right time for this particular officer to be confirmed as substantial director. So I plead through you, Chair, that probably we could handle that probably with the presence of the other authorities who play that critical role.
Thank you, Bwana CCM. I do agree with you, and with the agreement of other members, I have already said that we proceed with the matter at hand, and then the relevant people, it's an issue that we must handle in the next few days. Why? Of course, this is not an isolated case. We have so many acting officers, so we shall handle that at the time.
Thank you, Chair.
So, Bwana CC, I believe you received our letter. Yeah, and today we are only interested mainly, our main focus is on narcotics. And maybe you can take us through. You can take us through the project, when it began, the timelines, how far it has gone. You can give us a summary.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair and members and my team. Then the NATEX was initiated by His Excellency the Governor way back in 2017, in his manifesto. It was a part of what was in his manifesto as part of the Big Four agenda by His Excellency the President of this country. Under the manufacturing pillar, there was a need for us to also join into the bandwagon of manufacturing as a county. And His Excellency the Governor, in his wisdom, organized and directed us to talk to Rivertex. We entered into some MOU whereby Rivertex was to give us the technical support in terms of, since they have been in this field for long. And prior to that, our subcommittee of cabinet had visited Kitui to check out what really happens when we want to set up this kind of a facility. And I must confirm that everybody came back really excited and ready to move and to set up this thing. And we began the process. So the agreement between Rivertex and the county government of Nandi was to do the construction and the procuring of the equipments, which I must report that the construction exercise began, which was broken into two phases. There is the phase one, which is the construction of the big warehouse or the structure where the tailoring unit will be held, and phase two, which involves the fencing, putting in cabro, and all other amenities that go around with where there's a factory. Now, the structure itself is able to accommodate up to 70 plus staff at any one time, including line managers and supervisors. The construction, I must report, has been going on smoothly. When we entered into this agreement or arrangement, we consulted PPRA, who were the lead advisors on us as we engaged between one government to an entity like Rivertex, and they took us through the process through the subcommittee of government of a cabinet, and the membership, which was led by the project manager. Now, let me report that when the pandemic hit in March 2020, there was a slowdown because the contractor, I think because of the issues of working at home, decided to stop construction. I must report at this point that we had already paid a sum of 50 million to the contractor, which was split into two. The first batch was the first was the actual structure, which was budgeted at a cost of 20 million. However, during the construction process, there were some variations by the QS, which moved the figure to 25. And what we've paid so far in that point is 17.5. So we still have a deficit of 7.5. The second item is machinery and equipment, which was budgeted at 25 million. But by the time of our purchase, the exchange rate was favorable, and we were able to spend only 20.276 million, creating a surplus of 4.7 million. We have the third component, which involves the training of the staff, which is we had budgeted at 15 million. And we were to begin last year in March the training bits, because we had agreed that we are going to take our staff to Rivertex, and then they get through the real training from the factory at Rivertex. But up to this point, we thought like we might not proceed on with the third component, because in the next few months, at most 3 months, we will be having, we are certain that our structure will be complete. The reason for that certainty is because last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we had a meeting between the governor, the management of Rivertex, headed by Professor Kip Kurgat, and our team, and they requested that we disperse some additional 5 million to the contractor, which I must report to this House Chair that the money was received by Rivertex at the beginning of this week. So I talked to the contractor yesterday, and they were telling me once the money hits the account, probably today morning, they are ready to begin construction work. Let me give you an highlight, Chair, so that you could appreciate what it's all about. The bit which is remaining is just fixing the window panes, the floor, and the main doors, and paint work. Because the other equipment will just be shipped and fixed to the ground. One of the things we've been chasing within the time of COVID was the connection of electricity, and which we've done the relevant letters to Kenya Power, and we are awaiting their feedback. But we are certain that within the time frame of 3 months, they will have connected the 3-phase power to that structure. So as we speak, Chair, we are at a point whereby we are anticipating the commencement of work anytime from once the money hits the account. And I would confirm to this House that once the money hits the account, we can be sure that 2 things will happen. One, we'll have the structure being finished And then 2, we'll have all our equipment and machinery being installed at the factory. Let me also report that the technical people who will be installing the machines are from Rivatex, and these are people who are just within. It is well captured in the MOU, and for them, it's been like we want this thing done so that we could release the space which these equipments are occupying in their go-downs at the university at Rivatex. I don't know whether that is substantive, Chair.
Thank you. Maybe arising from your submission, Waziri, members definitely will have some questions to ask.
Sure.
Maybe my first question would be, what is the allowable, as per the PFM Act, what is the allowable variation in a construction? What % are you allowed to vary?
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, from the original BQ.
I think the maximum allowable amount is 25%, which I think our figure is right within that figure.
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Ngetich.
You see, Waziri is saying he thinks, which means he's not even sure. Is he sure or is...
Sorry, Chair. I am sure it is 25%. Thank you.
Upon confirmation, Waziri, upon confirmation, of course, as Honorable Ngetich has noted, in your submission, you also said you think, which was not a definite response. In spite of that, I've checked and the allowable variation is 5%. 5%. So looking at requested 5 million variation is way beyond. It's supposed to be a maximum of 1 million. Then the other issue, from our report from the finance team here, budget, headed by Honorable Teno, we realized that in your report, one of your reports, you've indicated that we are, one of the milestones we are celebrating is the third phase. The third phase of course, you have said phase 1 is construction of the main structure, and of course, we shall be presenting our evidence here. The second phase is fencing and curb road paving, and then the third phase is training of staff. Maybe our secretariat, are you ready with the photos as we visited? Are they ready? Okay. So members, you can proceed. You can proceed with your questions.
Thank you, Chair. On the issue of variation, which has been alluded by the CC, who approved the variation? That's the first question. And number 2, have you sent a report to the Assembly for the same variation? If yes, can you table the evidence?
Yes, Honorable Fred, you can give, and then Waziri can respond to the 2.
Hata nilikuwa naomba ndio kabla akijibu ajibu yote. Ile kitu nilikuwa nauliza. Nilitembea pale nikaona hata nikisikia waziri akasema anangojea variation na kulikuwa na PQ. Unajua PQ ilikuwa complete. Ndio ningependa kuuliza nini ilifanyika mpaka muende kwa variation, na tayari mtu alikuwa hata alijua ni pesa ngapi inamaliza, kwa sababu tulienda pale tukakuta hata kuna mabati hajawekwa, mlango vitu mingi hajawekwa. Hata ukienda kwa variation saa hii na ijakuwa complete, ndio tunashangaa. Nafikiri tulikuwa na chairman na nani tulienda tukaangalia. Hata ukiangalia tuseme it is about 65%. Sasa kama iko 65 ijafika 95, ndio useme ati pengine kuna vitu ilipanda bei nini. Ndio walikuwa napenda waziri ndio tujue hiyo mambo ya variation vile ilifanyika. Alafu pia pengine yeye alikuwa amelipwa pesa yote, amefanya kazi imeisha. Ndio ningependa kupata habari hiyo pesa ilikuwa imeisha, amelipwa yote, ndio tuone mambo ya variation.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Ngetich.
I don't know whether I got it properly, but Waziri said that the contractor will start work when the money hits the account and they have paid. Are they paying through Rivatex? or the contractor is being paid direct. I don't know whether I put it properly or what.
A
Because
follow-up question on that.
Are you through?
yes,
Honorable Gideon?
But let Waziri also make me understand why the contractor has to wait for funds. Is that the terms of agreement? I know all engagements with contractors is just having a commencement letter and proceeding to doing the work. Then they are paid. It's actually rendering the service first before they are paid. Why is this contractor waiting for funds?
Maybe, Waziri, you can even start with that one. What are the contractual terms? Because usually certificates are raised at every stage of construction. Can we get a copy of the contractual terms so that we get it clear?
Thank you, Chair and members. One, let me begin with the Mheshimiwa Koech's question about having to wait for funds to hit the account. I think I will tie that one to Honorable Ngeti's question too. Let me make it clear to this House that one, the procuring entity is Rivertex. It's not Nandi County government. That's number one. Two, there is no law which actually says that the money has to hit the account before a contractor does the works. That's true. So whatever the Weshima have said is totally correct. But allow me to just be realistic that at any one point, as a contractor, and given the circumstances we understand about this country, no contractor would be 100% sure that this money will be paid within the time frame in which is delivering a product. We have incidences which this House is well aware about that. There are instances whereby you do works, a contractor does work, but is not paid. Now, this contractor made a special request to Rivertex, which is the procuring entity, that based on the business environment, which was not favorable for everybody, they made a request that if we were to release that amount of money to them, then they will be able to deliver faster the structure before the time lapses, which probably we had agreed upon. Now, understand also that with the pandemic, most of the businesses went under. And I don't want to confirm anything, but it's obvious that everybody was going through a difficult moment, which I believe Shiv, who is the contractor for us at the moment, could have also gone through. Number two, Mheshimiwa Fred was asking about the variation and who approved. And Mheshimiwa Teno was also asking whether there was a copy sent to the Assembly. I must say that this project has moved from so many, let's say, it has begun with a set of officers of this county from the day of inception. And during that process, you'll realize that any project, it's natural that there would be omissions that come about, especially on the BQs. So there have been some corrections, there have been alterations based on what was actually put on the BQ vis-a-vis what needs to be done on the ground. So let me say the procuring entity has raised some of these issues, and that is what brought about that variation. The procuring entity engaged their QS, whom upon checking through the BQ which we had submitted, had some errors, and that is what brought about the variation. As to whether that variation was brought to the Assembly for concurrence, I will not confirm, Chair. Maybe I would seek one of my members, the project manager, to confirm.
Yeah, just before he confirms.
Maybe, Chair, before you go, I think the question was so straightforward. Was there any engagement with the Assembly in terms of effecting the variance Is either a yes or no? If it is a yes, table the evidence. Secondly, secondly, Chair, I think the explanation of the pandemic and the likes is just an explanation, but we need evidence of these changes that is happening at NCC. And there is a question, there is something that Waziri has raised, that the contractor was engaged by Rivertex. The money is being paid by Nandi County government. Then there must be some link between Rivertex and Nandi. I would also be interested to have that.
Chair, allow me to...
Yeah, just before you proceed, Waziri, so that we help you. Number one, you said there's a memorandum of understanding between Nandi County and Rivertex. So the first document that we would want placed before us is that MOU. Number two, in this business of construction of NATEX or Narcotex, who is the third party? Shiv, is there a direct agreement between Nandi County government and Shiv, who apparently are constructing our county assembly here? So when you bring about the issue of the pandemic, I believe that does not arise because Shiv has been doing the constructions here in spite of the pandemic. Number three, now we need a technical team's report, which I believe the project manager can be able to present before this house. As Honorable Gideon has said, we shall not take any verbal submission if there is no backup using documentary evidence. For example, we want communication from Shiv that you need to pay us this money before we can proceed. Number three, we need the agreement between Shiv and Rivertex. Number four, we need an agreement, a contractual agreement on the basis of payment. At what level should they be paid? You have said that Shiv has been paid 17.5 million. Is that?
Yes.
Already paid 17.5 million.
Yep.
Yeah, so we need to see that one. I wanted also to confirm whether the agreement with Rivertex, because we went there, we visited Rivertex, and members were able to see the machines which are there. What is the agreement between Nandi County and Rivertex? Is it about the machines or the construction? And we want it very clear.
Maybe on that point, Honorable Chair, can the CC explain to this committee how much actually the amount, the total amount for the project that is Narcotex? And number three, you have said that you are not aware whether the variations has been sent to this assembly. Yet you are in charge of the department, and you are aware in law that before any variation or after any variation, the statement of that variation must be sent to the assembly. That's as per the law. So you are telling us you are not aware of the end report, and you are the CC. So I think, Honorable Chair, the CC can, by the look of things, is not in charge of the department. And number three, you have said you are paid 17.5. And I think there must be some certificates which has been raised by the chief on the same project. So we need to get the information as per the certificates which has been raised by the chief and the amount that has been paid. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. As Honorable Tena, the Vice Chair for Trade, is the Chair for Budget. With that variation of a whole sum 5 million, it has an implication on our budgets. How then, where will you get the money, the 5 million, the varied amount, if it is not within our budget? Where will you get the money to pay?
Chair,
Yes, Honorable Fred.
unajua nimesikia maswali yenye umeuliza. Kama ni variation, inabidi tukuje tuweke budget pia. Nilikuwa nafikiri kwa ile pesa tulikuwa tumeweka. For example, kama mtu amekuwa maybe it was 2 million, mtu akakuwa 1.8. Nilikuwa nafikiri ni hiyo imebaki yake.
Sasa atatueleza yeye mwenyewe hiyo pesa inatoka wapi. Yes, Bwana Chief.
Allow the chair.
You are too. Okay.
Yeah. Just as has been said, just to reinforce on what Waziri had said, allow me to take you back so that maybe at some point we may not be asking this again about the NATEX project. I'm saying being the Chief Officer of Industrialization, that the initiation first was in 2017 by His Excellency Governor. That is towards the Big Four agenda, that is on manufacturing.
1 minute, Chief.
Yes.
So the first budget allocation was in 17-18 or 18-19?
That is what it will answer that one as
Okay.
I'm going. That's why I wanted to make it clear so that at some point, maybe you may not be. That is when it was first initiated. And then the project seeks the help to accelerate industrialization and provide employment opportunities in Nandi County. An MOU between the county government of Nandi and Rivertex Limited was signed in the year 2018. That is when the MOU was signed. That is, an MOU was signed between the county government of Nandi and Rivertex Limited in the year 2018, with the latter being given the procurement responsibility. That is, Rivertex now was given the procurement responsibility on behalf of the county government of Nandi and initiating the construction of the textile unit. They were also given the responsibility of conducting the training of individuals of the unit. And now, what made me on this, that is, the agreement was that Rivertex Limited to construct a textile unit and equip the unit within a stipulated period of time. The land for construction was identified in the year 2018 in Mosoriot, and the construction formally began in the year 2019 with the Shift Construction Company Limited, awarded a contract to do the work. From just the understanding I have, which this house can guide in terms of variation, you may find variation. What was budgeted, because you are saying it is within the budget, what was budgeted was 50 million. In fact, I'm told it's supposed to have been 60, but with a deficit of 10, so it was 50. So within the variation, I can't tell now whether variation is within that 50 million or variation is within the breakdown of how you have made the 50 million to be. That is where because you had asked that where will this come from the budget? Because the actual budget, maybe which was approved by the county assembly, was 50 million. So it's like within this is within that 50 million, not that it has gone beyond the 50 million. That is what I wanted to answer that one in terms of that variation, whether it is right that it is still within the 50 million, and then the breakdown of the 50 million now of how it is. That is what I wanted to say.
Thank you for that, Chief.
Chair.
Just a moment. What were the timelines for this project? Project manager?
The project between, what was the agreement between the procuring entity and the contractor? What was the actual figure for the project? Maybe as an assembly we had allocated 50, and the agreement between the procuring entity and the contractor, what was the cost of the project? Was it 50 or less or more?
Chair?
To be.
I think the same question that you asked is what I would have asked, but I'm just asking what was the execution period. I think it is the same question.
Can we allow the project manager to take us through? So we request the team to table documents like the MOU. Can send it to be photocopied for us.
Okay, thank you. During the inception, the project was envisioned to cost 60 million. Within the 60 million, training was supposed to cost 15 million. The machinery was supposed to cost 25 million. And the actual project, which is the structure, the structure was supposed to cost 20 million.
Chair.
Let's allow him to finish. Honorable Ngati, let's allow him to finish.
On the implementation
Yes.
of the project, I have the hard copy, and I think it will be available to you upon your request. And of course, I think we can also present it here because I have it in soft copy, alongside any other documents that you might require. Thank you.
So, Waziri and your team, we confirm from our budget for 18-19, 50 million. Maybe Honorable Teno can help us. In 19-20, was any allocation?
Yeah, the total amount for 1920 that was allocated for establishment and equipping of textile unit is 50 million.
For 19-20?
Yeah,
This is 18-19. For 19-20? So for 19-20, for estimates, we have an additional 42 million. That is establishment of a textile and apparels unit, works in progress. So an additional 42 million. And then there is equipping the textile unit, 10 million. Maybe you can tell us, is 42 million works in progress?
Yes, I can confirm that the 42 million is work in progress.
So 8 million had been paid?
Yes.
Thank you. So you are given adequate funds, the 6 million required? Yeah, 25 million for the machines?
Yes.
15 million for training which has not been expended?
Yes, it has not been expended.
And then 20 million for the main structure?
Yes, for the main
structure. So we require an additional 5 million for completion of the structure?
For the completion.
Now it makes our work easy. Now that we still have the 25 million we believe has been expended, isn't it? Has it been, it has been expended because we have seen the machines.
Yes.
15 million has not been spent.
On training has not been
now,
spent.
The issue is, Shiv has been paid 17 million.
17 million.
So we have 3 million still in the account. Sorry, 2.5 million.
2.5, yes.
2.5 million.
Yeah.
And we still have 15 million.
Yes.
Yeah, and then why is work not progressing and yet we still have money?
I think to be clear, we expected to construct the building using 20 million, but on variation, it rose to around 24 million. The machines, we expected to purchase the machines at 25 million, but we ended up spending 20 million. Now, on training, we were supposed to spend 15 million. Not yet, we've not spent the 15 million. As I earlier said, the total budget was supposed to be 60 million. The money that was transferred is 50 million. The money, when you do the mathematics, the money that is our money, in which Rivertech still holds, is around 12.2 million. On training also, to be clear, we are not going to spend the 15 million on training because we'll be doing it on site once the construction of the structure is complete and once the machines have been installed. So we'll be using around 10 million on training. So that means we'll be saving around 5 million. Thank you.
So on project manager, what is the average cost of training one tailor?
The average cost of training one tailor, I think I'll have to confirm with the figures, because we already had a business plan on how we're going to on the cost of training.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My issue here is,
Chairman.
why is this project stalling and yet we have adequate money? Money is not an issue here. We gave you 60 million, you have a surplus of that money. Because I'm very sure you are very prudent. You cut down on the cost of the machines to 20 million. That is very nice. You cut down on the cost of, I would be wondering why you would need 15 million to train tailors. That would be in the books of world record. Why would you need 15 million to train 70 of them?
Okay, I think with the MOU that you'll be given, you'll see that the training of these people will be done by Rivertex because they have the skills, yes, and the personnel to train these people. So that's why we're going to spend more on training these people.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Honorable Ngetich?
Chairman.
Did you have a question? Or we give it to Honorable Fred?
Chairman, ile yangu ilikuwa nataka niulize hii mambo ya training. Unajua huwezi una train mtu na amesoma. Kuna mtu amefusu tayari amesoma. Sasa ukisema unapeleka kwa training na tayari yako na certificate ya kwamba amefusu, si utakuwa una double kama mtu amelipa fees. Alafu sasa unaanza kutrain what for? Kwa sababu utafanya interview kama ajui aende. Kwa sababu wale wako Rivertex na wale walifanya interview akiomba kazi. Kama mtu amequalify una train ya nini tena? Kwa sababu interview ni kama training. Kwa sababu unaulizwa maswali upewe vile utafanya, ukifaulu unaandikwa kazi. Tena unakuja unachukua pesa nyingine una train mtu for 15 million na nilienda pale kwa hiyo factory hakuna hata ukuta. Unatumia 15 million kutrain mtu na ukuta hujaweka nini hujaweka, ungetafuta hii pesa tuweke pale tumalize kwanza that project. Kwa sababu hii budget najua after one year ina elapse haitafanya kazi tena. Tungebadilisha hiyo pesa ikuwe pesa ya kumaliza hiyo project, tuandike watu kazi. Hata niko na watu wengi wanafanya kazi hapa town. Wasichana karibu 50 wamejua hiyo kazi. Mbona utrain mtu mpya na kuna watu wamesomea?
Thank you, Honorable Fred. I'm looking at this document, and maybe was that you can allow the project manager to respond. Have we received, as the department received 15 million for training from the Treasury?
No, we've not received the money.
Not yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Now that you overpaid Rivertex by almost 5 million, so at what point was the payment made? I thought payments made are as per the procurement processes, including the presentation of invoices. Why was Rivertex paid in excess of 5 million instead of paying as per the invoice?
Okay, thank you. I think I'll give my Waziri to answer that.
Waziri.
Okay. Thank you, Chair and members. To answer on the, let me go back to where we began again. That Rivertex is the procuring entity. Issues of certificates and payments and decisions on whether to pay or not does not lie with the county government of Nandi. It is the decision of Rivertex because they are the ones who are managing and overseeing the construction of that structure. So we would be wrong to assume that there's an overpayment which has been done, but the only thing we did as a county based on our MOU is this is the budget that we have. You will manage for us this money based on the kinds of work that are going. That's why we put the money in the account. No one within the county controls Rivertex on how much you should be released to these people. It's only based on the kind of work that they've already done and the certificates which the contractor gives to Rivertex, and subsequently the payment comes about. Now, let me go back to something which I think it will be important to comment at this point so that we get facts clear. We have two phases in this construction. We have the construction of the big structure, which will house the equipment, offices, their toilets, and all other things. I will not mention all of them. There is a phase 2 to this also, which I think Honorable Fred almost alluded to, that we have to construct the perimeter fence. We have a store which we need to do. We have an electrical room and a powerhouse, full with a standby generator. We have a lobby. We have a factory shop. And we have the gates, the entire of that kind of thing. We've not talked about that one. Where we are focused on now, based on whatever resources we have for now, is can we have the structure being complete, being able to run, so that as it is running, we will be able to be doing these other activities, these other works, as the main works will have been completed. Because the structure by itself, save for security issues and the rest, I can assure you that we will be in production. The same way we found in Kitui, the structure was complete, they were finishing the gates and the cabros, but the thing was already operational. So I think that is where we are borrowing the leaf from. Allow me also, at this point, Chair, to comment on something that the link between SHIF, the county government of Nandi does not have any link with SHIF. The link between SHIF and the contractor has nothing to do with us. It is Rivertex who looked for SHIF. So we do not know the financial muscle of SHIF as a county. The only thing we know was under the MOU, the agreement we had with Rivertex, we identify a credible contractor who is going to do for us these works. And they landed on SHIF. I didn't even know SHIF was having some other works here. So for us as a department, we just got a contractor who won the works to do who wanted Enda to do the works, and that is where it ends for us. So I would say, in conclusion, Chair, before, I know you had asked us some other questions which we need to answer at some point, but allow me to comment on one thing here about the documentation. I think we have the MOUs which exist here, which exist between ourselves and Rivertex, not SHIF, exist, and I think we should be having copies. And I think we should have also invited the legal team so that they could shed lights about probably any other, maybe the roles of everybody in this kind of arrangements. Two, we were guided by PPRA when we were making this engagement. So it was not an engagement as a county per se, but it was under the guidance of PPRA on how we were going to deliver this project easily through Rivertex. Allow me to stop at that point, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, honorable members. Any question there? Something which is not clear for clarification?
Chair, just a clarification. Maybe I missed something. In regards to variations, I'm just wondering what were the alterations that were made to warrant the variation.
Yeah, thank you, Waziri. Or the project manager can respond to that.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair. Variations, there are sometimes they are part and parcel of any construction. The variations were informed by the changes on the site. I think I can confirm you on the items because they're listed on the BQ on the items that warranted the need for variation. Thank you.
On the same, I did ask you, project manager, whether you have a technical report from the engineers on the variation, because variations are based on the engineer's report.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have a technical report from the quantity surveyor, and I think it will be available to you as soon as upon your request. Thank you.
Before we can take in any question, I don't know whether the team can show us the photos, and then we saw some variations which were done on site. Do you have the photos ready? Yes, Honorable Fred.
Kabla hiyo picha ichakuja, nilikuwa nataka niulize kama PQ imeundwa, sheria inaruhusu kurekebishwa baadaye. kwa sababu unajua PQ ndio inatuonesha ile pesa tunatumia kuweka hapo ndani, na nimesikia Kiranja akisema kwamba kuna marekebisho ilifanywa, kwa sababu unajua PQ ilitengenezwa na expert. Nani alikuja kubadilisha tena? Na kwa marekebisho ya hiyo PQ nilikuwa nafikiri pengine unarekebisha kulingana na hiyo pesa iko. Sasa ukituambia kwamba unakuja kurekebisha ndio uongeze pesa, unajuaje hiyo pesa kama itatosha? So as from now, ile pesa tunapewa ni kidogo sana. Nafikiri kwa hiyo kamati ya kwa hiyo kwa ofisi ya waziri wa trade, nafikiri hata ile pesa anapata ni kidogo sana. Wewe ongeza na ujui nini itafanyika.
Chair,
Yeah,
let me ask something here. Item number 1, structure, budgeted amount 20 million, actual cost 25, variation is 5 million, isn't it? Then actual spend is 17.5, deficit 8 million. And I don't know whether those figures are adding up. If the deficit is 8 million plus 17.5, itakuja ngapi? 25. Or is it there is? I thought deficit should have been 7.5. Why is it 8? I don't know.
Yeah, kindly you can proceed and then you can focus on the changes that we saw. Can you zoom in on the door, on the variations on the door? Project manager, you realize that the door, the original door from the BQ, yeah, there was a change. Are you aware?
Yes, I'm aware.
What was the motivation?
With the door, I think it was moved because, as you can see, there is a section where we'll build the toilets, so ikasongeshwa kidogo. To answer the honorable member question on the variation, it is I've written 5 million variation. The original was, and then with the 5 million, then it comes to 25 million. So it's not 30, it is 25 million. Now, on the issue of variation, the cost increased from the original 20 million to 25 million. Yeah. And the reason why it increased was because we had to install the toilets and, of course, the office, which I think when I present the BQ to you and the drawings, you'll see that the structure itself has, toilets will be built on the ground floor, and then just above the toilets, we'll have the offices. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Chair, you are saying, I'm not disputing the variation of 5 million. It is 20 plus 5 is 25. And then actual spend is 17.5. Then deficit is 8. That is where my point of contention is. Why 8 instead of 7.5?
Sorry, Chair, that was a typo. And sorry for that error. It was actually 7.5.
Chairman,
Yes, Honorable Fred.
maswali yangu ni rahisi. Nimesikia vile mkurugenzi anaongea. Sasa inamaanisha basi hiyo ujenzi haikuchorwa, kwa sababu ukichora chochote ina approve na inaitwa nini? Lazima uchore plan kwanza. Baada ya kuchora plan unatengeneza PQ kulingana na hiyo plan. Sasa ukiniambia ati nyumba ilisongezwa kwa sababu toilet na kila kitu iko na plan, kuna measurement, kuna nini. Sasa ndio tulikuwa ningependa chairman tena tupewe plan ya hiyo nyumba na PQ. Kwa sababu hakuna vile unabadilisha. Najua mimi najenga manyumba. Lazima ukuwe na plan ndio sasa unaanza mambo ya PQ ya pesa. Sasa tayari amesema anaweka pesa na tayari hiyo nyumba ilikuwa na plan yake. Vile waziri alikuwa amesema. Waziri alikuwa anasema iko toilet ndani, kuna ofisi. Sasa kama tuone kama iko plan ndani. Ndio ningependa kuuliza kwa hiyo plan toilet na hiyo vitu yote iko ndani.
Yeah, just before you respond,
Okay.
yeah, we entered into an MOU with the Rivertex. And the basis of that is because of their expertise and their experiences. Yeah. Unfortunately, they come back to us asking for variation, and then we chose the best. We chose the best, and yet we are having a whole variation of 5 million. They even drew up a plan without the toilet. I don't know what the intention was. So as Honorable Fred has said, of course, the following documents should be presented before this committee. Number one, we have talked about the MOU. Number two, we want the plan and the BQ. Those documents should be presented before this assembly. Number four, we need the technical report on the variations. Yes. I think that should become as soon as today.
Yes.
Yes.
It will be presented today.
Okay. And then we need payment vouchers to Rivertex. We need copies of all the payments that have been made to Rivertex to support. Yes.
On the payment vouchers,
Yes.
because the procuring entity was given to Rivertex, we might not have the payment vouchers, but we have interim certificates instructing.
That will be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Present to us.
Chairman.
Yes.
Hata kama Rivertex wanasimamia hiyo nyumba, sisi tumeandika expert watupatie ripoti ya hao watu, kwa sababu wakati walifanya inspection ndio pesa nyingine ilipwa kama wameraise certificate tupewe pia, kwa sababu hata kama umepea mtu lazima si hatunalipa kabla hatuna ripoti ya hiyo nyumba. For example, kama mimi nimefanya contract, nimejenga nyumba mpaka nusu, nikiraise certificate lazima kuna wale walikuja kufanya inspection wajue kama imefika wapi. Hiyo ndio tunahitaji pia, mheshimiwa.
Thank you. Before project manager, you can say something. The issue here is Shiv is expecting, Waziri, you said 8 million shillings before he can resume site? 5 million. So where is that money? Is it with us or with Rivertex?
It's with Rivertex.
Yes. So Rivertex is holding us at ransom. I did ask you I don't know what Honorable Cynthia called it. I asked for the timelines, and yet she used another word. What did you say? Yeah, execution period. That is very important. Tell us the execution period.
The execution period, I think I have it on a list. Nimeandika mzuri, so I think I'll present it to you alongside the documents that you requested. Now, with the execution period, you realize that we've not managed to fulfill some of the timelines because of the changes and whatnot, the coronavirus. But I think I'll update it as soon as possible, and then I'll present it to you. Thank you.
Yeah, just so that you know what we have done already. When we visit the site, when was that, Honorable Member? When did we visit that site and Rivertex? Was it December? Yeah, December. Now, we did call the contractor, and he said the reason why he was not on site is because of payments. Yeah, not for any other reason, not for COVID. So COVID is not an issue here. Yes.
Oh, again, Honorable
Yes.
Chair, on the issue, the project manager is not very specific. I am not looking at the breakdowns of the execution period, like in 30 days or whatever days you should be able to do this and this. I'm looking at generally all those activities, they should be done in what period of time. And about corona and variations, we know that it is allowed that when you do variations, you are allowed to now change the execution period. What we're asking for is, what was the execution period when this project started? Anticipated execution period. And again, and you know, those are things that you should be knowing, being a project manager. You know that I have a project that I'm managing and it should be complete in the next 6, 12, 18, or whatever months. So it is just a blanket period, not the exact period of activities. That is what I'm asking.
Thank you. Chair, maybe before I give my project manager to answer, allow me to just mention two things. One, we have a business plan, which I don't know whether we were able to share with the honorable members.
On the business plan, I think we've not managed to share it, but it is there.
Yeah. Because under that business plan, it was giving step-to-step processes on where we will be at which particular point. And I think that would have really guided this process. And then number two, allow me to mention that when the first BQ was drawn over this project, it was realized that it had some errors. And that this is what created that delay. Because one, the things which he was mentioning about the door, creating offices, a fast flow, not actually a fast flow, it's just some raised, I would call a suspended flow, were like some additionals which came up from the initial plan that we had on this structure. So these are some of the things which when initially the county, who are the brainchild of this thing, had meetings with the Rivertex, these are some of the things which came up very quickly. So that's why there have been these delays. Initially, we were hoping this project would end within 2 years, under 2 years actually. But because of ABCD, we were not able to. The beginning project.
Waziri, looking at the issues that we are discussing here, I think this has nothing to do with external factors. I think this has to do with the human factors, the factors within us, internal factors in your department. Because we are now in the 3rd year since the project began. Looking at that structure and looking at the machines already there, this project will not even take 6 months. If you are on the Bwana Tanu, if you are running that project as a private entity, I believe that project should have been completed in 6 months. So now that project manager, we are 3 years down the line since that project began. The value of the money in that project. Now the dollar is trading over 110 shillings and other factors. Of course, very soon you'll be telling us we do another variation based on the economy, based on inflation. You have not responded to Honorable Cynthia's question. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think, Honorable Cynthia, I think you'll have to come up because I think your question has been answered by Waziri. We envision that the project will be complete within 2 years.
I refuse to take that within. We have very clear timelines, execution period. I give you, you sign I want the contractual term because the procurement process is very clear. Those regulations are very clear. When I give you a project, by 30th June, should be able to complete the project. We want those clear dates. When was this project supposed to be completed?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Only one thing in passing, that you are right about the timelines for each activity. But appreciate also that, like, let me give an example for the equipments. The equipments could have checked into that go down long time ago. But because of the pandemic, they had to delay for some other additional months. For that, that's one of the reasons that delayed. But that one has nothing to do with the construction here in the ground. I must say that because of developments, changes in terms of so many aspects, which I think we will be able to see from the technical report, you will appreciate some of those changes are not just like the way you are putting in, like when you do something as a private entity. You can just make a decision at the spur of the moment. But for these things, you have to really go through a process which has to be, which the regulator is looking at you. Definitely you'll have to take more time. I'm not justifying our lateness, Chair, but just to allow you to also appreciate that some of the delays reasons were actually beyond this team's abilities. And I would beg this assembly that the role of the county at this project is actually very minimal. I'll tell you that for a fact. Because once the procuring entity is handling or is even talking or engaging with the contractor, you'll always find that in most cases, they would have some conversations within themselves, which later on, when we go to check out as the clients, sometimes we would not really appreciate them. And maybe when we give you the report, Chair, we will be able to appreciate some of those concerns which this team has. Thanks.
Notwithstanding what you have just said, Waziri, fact is, you are not pinpointing exactly why the delays. You are picking on things which are not very clear. You are picking on the pandemic. You are picking on processes. In spite of that, I am very sure, I know the procurement processes. When you do variations, maybe you are given 2 weeks, maybe you are given 30 days. I mean, we are talking about years here. We are talking about years. Now the next issue is on the machines. And maybe the project manager can come out very clearly. The machines, we saw them there at the warehouse. They are there. They have been lying there for a period of more than 1 year. Yes. Have they been paid for?
To confirm on the machines, when the machines arrived at Rivertex, I was there the following day, and I can confirm to you that the money has been paid. We have the receipts. Of course, that was copied us from Rivertex. Thank you.
How many machines are there?
I'll have to confirm. I think with the report I'll give you, you can clearly see because the around.
Don't you think that one?
Different types of machines.
Don't you think your response signals your lack of touch with your work? Because when you receive machines, definitely you must have. What is the name of that document? For receiving.
Yes.
What is it called? Delivery note. That delivery note, quantity must always be there.
Okay.
And as your business is your core business in the department is a project manager, isn't it?
Yes.
Those ones, that is information which should be in your fingertips.
Yes.
You should tell us 70 machines, 120 machines.
On top of that, Chair, the project manager visited the following day after the machines were brought. So, Honorable Chair, when the project manager does not know how many machines he saw when they came in, that is a red flag, Honorable Chair.
Chair, allow me to defend my good guy here.
Waziri, I should stop you. This is not.
Sorry.
This is not a court case.
Okay,
we are just responding.
I withdraw, Chair.
Yes.
I withdraw that statement. Sorry. Let me say, we had an initial project manager who left. Let me also report that. And Amos, base of the guy who left. So, though he was in the committee, he was been in the team.
Honorable Chair.
We went as the, sorry, Chair.
Waziri, you are telling us you have the manager who left, yet he's saying when immediately the machines arrive in reply, he went there the next day to receive. Yes. So you are lying to this committee, Waziri.
No,
Number two, it seems that the acting director is not in charge in his department. Because if he doesn't know how many machines were delivered to this county, yet it is about 1 year ago when those machines were delivered. He's aware that the payment has been made to the department of, to the reply. You are aware of the payment, but you are not aware how many machines were delivered.
Okay, let me clear that.
Let me answer you. Allow me to answer that through the chair. That one, we had a project manager by the name Dennis, and he was part of the committee of the technical team that has been visiting Rivertex. That's why he was there. We also went as the subcommittee for cabinet to inspect the machines when they came in, Chair. And I'll confirm to you that the machines which are there is an assortment of machines and they are varied. Yes. You cannot quantify, unless you want the quantification of, we don't even know some of their names because it needs a technical person. But the best I can tell you is we have I would call an inventory of the machines which are there and their numbers. And we can
Information,
comfortably
Honorable
give you
Chair.
that.
Yes, Honorable Cynthia.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Allow me to inform the CCM member thread that an office is held in perpetuity. Whatever was there or was done by the previous project manager or whoever has to be handed over to the sitting one. So in regards to who was there and who was not there, all the information, whether since 1968 or 1971, before the project manager sitting, should be known by him. So it cannot be used as an excuse, Honorable Chair.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Cynthia. Maybe before you respond on that, Waziri, can we take a look on the pictures of those machines in the Rivertex? Proceed with the machines. Can you just enlighten that the delivery? I think it's not visible. Yeah, that's one of the documents that we received from Reply with the amounts of the machines. Yeah, the number of machines. Next. You can also as well print for us that document, the one showing the number of machines and the amount. Thank you. So, Waziri, you can respond to the question from Honorable Cynthia on the issue of...
Chair, through Chair, thanks. Thanks for that question. It's true. Offices are held in perpetuity, and there are issues of the story of what we would call institutional memories, which come around. And when someone leaves, it doesn't mean an office dies off. But maybe the only thing I would have, maybe the context of the context of my statement probably was wrong. But the point I would want to put across is, it is not that, in spite of the fact that the former project manager leaving does not mean in any way that the incoming one does not have info to that kind of the question that you asked. I only say that he was part of the team, but he was not the project manager then. There was a project manager at that point. So I would forgive him probably for not having all the figures on his fingertips for now. That's my submission.
Thank you. Maybe as we continue, I want to ask the CEOs who is in charge of this issue. Who do you normally pay, or when you paid 50 million to Rivertex? Because I think you have said that you are paying Rivertex for the project and for the machines.
Yeah, I want to reply that one by saying Dr. Rose will...
Yeah, give Dr. Rose to tell us when he normally pays to Rivertex. Yeah, Dr. Rose can respond to that one.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair, honorable members. On PPRA, we have the responsibility matrix, and one of the directions that we are given by PPRA is we transfer responsibility, procurement responsibility to Rivertex. So as county government, we are funding the project through the direction of PPRA. So we have been paying or transferring the funds, and it's upon Rivertex to do the procurement, to do the payment process to the contractor.
So what made you to pay Rivertex the sum amount of 50 million,
Yes.
yet the work has not been done in Mosoriot? We can allow for the machines because of lately the machines has been supplied, but the textile unit in Mosoriot has been paid to Rivertex. The amount has been paid to Rivertex, yet the work has not been completed. What informed that decision?
Mheshimiwa Chair, pia atuambie ni sheria. Unajua nashangaa kumbe sheria inaruhusu mtu kupewa pesa kabla hajafanya kazi.
Honorable members, Chair, I want to inform this particular committee that the issue of payment actually was done by the former AIE holder, but I came in.
Point of order.
Yes.
Point of order.
Yes.
Point of order.
Chair.
Dr. Boit, before Waziri, we can give you time. It is absolutely out of order for the accounting officer to claim that the payments were made by the former AIE holder. Government is held in perpetuity.
Okay.
Yes, when you take an oath of office, you accept the liabilities, you accept all the assets. And once you take over that position, you cannot pass the buck. Okay. The buck stops squarely at you. Yes. So we would expect you to withdraw that statement and tell us clearly what is happening. In terms of payment, as Honorable Freda said, how could payments be made before services or goods could be rendered?
Number two, Honorable Chair, when you pay services which has not been rendered, that amounts to the loss of public funds as per the law. So when you pay Rivertex an amount of 20 million for the construction of the building in Mosoriot, yet it has not been completed, that can amount to loss of funds, public funds. Number two, you have the CC has indicated clearly that in 2018, when the MOU was signed and the project started. Right now we are in 2021. We are remaining with only one financial year before we end the period of as per the ADB and the CIDB. So the process of completion of the Narcotex is taking long as per the timelines, which was raised by the Honorable Chair. And number two, you have already paid to the Rivertex the whole amount. Yet, as per the confirmation from the CC, the contractor, who is chief, is waiting for the funds so that he can complete the building. So I think you are mixing issues here, CEO.
PPR,
Chair.
Oh.
Kabla hajajibu Chair, kuna hii habari tumepewa hapa inaonyesha kwamba walilipa 37,776 million. Ati bado 12,224. Na nasikia wewe unasema imelipwa 50 million. Alafu ukikuja hapo juu first payment ilikuwa 8.5 million. Alafu akalipa the interim payment tena 5 million, alafu 9. Alafu yote inaishia 7.5 million. Na hapo juu yeye alikuwa amekataa akasema it was computer error. Alikuwa ametoa 500. Ukikuja hapo chini nafikiri umeona vile amefanya, ndio tukapenda wakati anajibu hii maswali atuambie hiyo computer error inakuja mpaka chini ama inaishia hapo juu, kwa sababu naona alafu computer error nyingine wanasema wamelipwa 50 million, alafu tena wanasema bado 12. Sijui hii 12 inaongeza ikue 62,224.
Chair, just to add on the same line of questions, Honorable Chair, I think it was a huge mistake that the CECM did not give us at least a summary of the details entailed in the MOU. I think that is where we are getting lost. Because, Honorable Chair, as we speak, I am not sure how the what do we call, the user, or there's a name that is called the client, who is the Nandi County, have no say, just like the officers submitting in regards to their project. They are the client here, they should be having absolute say. But the CCM seems to say that we have little or no say in regards to the same project, whereas we are the client. Again, Honorable Chair, when we are talking about the payment and, of course, the accounting officer wants to maybe pass the baton to someone else, Honorable Chair, the project manager just submitted that they cannot provide the invoices for payment and all that, but they can be able to provide for us the interim certificates, which are actually informing the payments. And Honorable Chair, I think there's a bit of confusion on this side of the people appearing before us today. What we want to know is how have you paid? How did you produce the interim certificates which are informing payment? Whereas we're saying, you who paid, who was supposed to have paid, you know, those kind of things. And Honorable Chair, I think where we got lost completely is maybe we need to go back. Can the team tell us in a nutshell what was the agreement? What are the TORs here?
Thank you, Member. I wish to make the following ruling, that looking at the matters at hand, we cannot continue with this discussion until and when we receive the documents. So the following documents to be supplied to the committee before 2:30 p.m. because we need to document a report. Thank you. You have something to say?
Lord Chair, I don't know whether, because I think as per the invitation, let me have a look at that invitation. Where's that invitation? Allow, as per invitation,
2nd March.
As per invitation which we received in the department, invitation to attend Trade, Investment and Industrialization Committee meeting on Thursday, 4th March. Pursuant to the above stated committee meeting held on 2nd March 2021, the committee resolved to invite you to shed light on the Nandi County textile industry. You are expected to appraise members of the current status and aspect of the industry. The meeting shall be held on Thursday, which is today, at the County Assembly Committee. I want to say, the Chair, you will excuse us a bit because if they had listed all the documents required, we could have availed. We have them, like even for the PPRA, if you will have allowed me before this committee to read what the response of the PPRA towards that contractual to read before you, but thereafter all the documents which you are able to come with, we will give. But if it had been listed all the documents we required, you can be very sure the first thing we will have done, we will have submitted to you even before continuing on. Allow us on that one, we may have not given what, but it is as per the letter. Please, kindly, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair,
If you allow me to make it clear, because it will respond to what Honorable Cynthia said, this is the response by the public procurement regulation.
Not necessary now,
Okay.
so that you can present those documents
Okay.
together with that response.
And then to make it clear about the payment,
Yes.
I think if, for instance, the county government of Nandi, because as per this PPRA, it has allowed that we do the procurement through the Rivertex. I want to believe when the county government of Nandi was paying the 50 million, it was meeting its obligation of so that the Rivertex will not have any excuse. But now when it gets to generating the interim payments, it is now between the Rivertex and the contractor they have involved. That is why, maybe that is why there is that confusion a bit. But if you make it very clear, it is like the Rivertex can claim the county that you have not given us the money. But now it is like all the money is with them. It is them now, they will be paying as per the work done. That is why they are paying now with the contractor.
No problem. Waziri and your team, please be guided as follows. We may need to invite the officer in charge at Rivertex of this project. Based on the discussions that we have had, we may even need to invite the contractor themselves. Before we can do that, make the following ruling that you supply the following documents by 2:30 p.m. today. MOU between the Nandi County government and Rivertex, the plan and BQ of the project, payment vouchers to Rivertex, and then interim vouchers, execution document. Number 5, a business plan that the Waziri has talked about. Number 6, inventory of machines requested. Number 7, inventory of machines delivered. And lastly, receipt of machines paid. he would appreciate that, because tomorrow we are writing a report on this project, and it will be very important that we have those documents. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Yeah, and it's number 2, the plan and BQ of the project. So allow us, Honorable Boit, I hope we are not addressing this matter. We want to go to other issues in the department in a brief, unless it's...
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
I withdraw the first statement that I was not responsible, I was not the accounting officer. And I want to appreciate that you have accepted to give us more time so that we can provide the documents that you require. And finally, I would like to say that I got the information. The information reached the office at 4:45 that we are invited to this assembly. So we didn't really have enough time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also,
Accepted. Yes.
I think generally, since the project started, we've never had an engagement like this. And because we are here in the interest of the great people of Nandi, I think we should have more engagement so that we can make this project a success. Thank you.
We need this project to be completed within the shortest time possible so that we get value for money. Lastly, Honorable Fred, you know we have other projects and we don't want you to take a lot of time here. Let me address myself specifically to Juakali Sheds, a project of 1.6 million, which was supposed to be constructed initially at Koilot, but against our agreements with the department that it should be constructed in Ole Source. I don't know who is able to respond to this. It's 1.6 million worth of Juakali Sheds, 2018-2019 financial year.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I can confirm to you that we already made plans, and the contractor is supposed to take over site very soon in Lesos.
On that note, now that you've responded, thank you for that. This is 3 years down the line. I was lastly informed that a contractor who was initially awarded the contract did not assume site on time. Is this a new contractor?
Yes, this is a new contractor.
Thank you.
Retendering was done.
So have you awarded the contract?
Yes.
So when are we going to the site?
As of yesterday, I
Yes.
was in touch with the contractor, and he was saying before the end of this week, he will be delivering material at the site.
Yeah, I would be very hesitant to operate the way you do. When we say, when your team is asked to come to the assembly on Thursday, it is very definite. When you ask the contractor to assume site, it should be very definite. Because me and you, we work on a program. You have other businesses to do. So your response is not definite. If you say anytime this week, that response cannot come from an officer of your nature. I want you to tell me we are going to Lesos on Friday to hand over site to the contractor.
Honorable Chair, I would maybe, if you'd be kind enough, I confirm maybe before 2:30.
Kindly call me back. Secondly, we have nice stalls constructed in Olesos, but they are only beautiful on site by looking at them. But that is not the business of stalls. The business of stalls is for people to do business, give revenue to our county, and then give profits to the people who are running the stalls. What plans do you have?
That is in order, your Chair. The project is complete and the stalls are beautiful. We have already processed the payment, but now the contractor is awaiting to be paid.
Does that lie within your reach, paying the contractor so that we can use the stalls?
As it is now, we already finished all the procedures, and we have forwarded the files to finance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before we give Honorable Cynthia, I want also to ask you some few questions. Number one is on the issue of pending bills. Waziri, we allocated funds on the pending bills since 2017. That's budget for 2017-18, 18-19, and 19-20. And if I can ask, and I think this one goes to CEOs, because they know how much has been paid to contractors on the pending bills. And number two, we are remaining with 3 months before we end financial year for 2020-2021. And yet, we can see we have not tendered any project for 2020-2021. How is the progress on those issues of tendering?
Honorable Cynthia.
Thank you, Chair. Just to ask questions just once. Honorable Chair, if you have noted that we don't even know how many border sheds have been constructed since 2017-2018. Just for the record, in 2017-2018, there was an allocation of 7 million for border sheds, and they say they would construct 50. Honorable Chair, I hope the committee, the department will be kind enough to provide an annex in regards to how many border sheds and where have been constructed, whether complete or incomplete, tendered or not tendered, whatever it is. We just want to know where the 50 border sheds are in the county government of Nandi, or in the county of Nandi. In financial year 18-19, there was also a budget. Of course, there was no budget for border sheds, unless they introduced it, I don't know. But we had Juakali sheds, 6 of them, that costed 8 million. I still want them to do the same. Should be able to put down on paper where the Juakali sheds are that costed 8 million and their status. And of course, I would also want to know how the incubation centers per sub-county went. They were given 3 million. And of course, the market stalls. And I think, Honorable Chair, I think I need a clear definition of the difference between a Juakali shed and a market stall. Honorable Chair, I know I have seen some of the market stalls that have been constructed. We still want to know where and their status enumerated, so that we can have this county assembly knowing where these projects are, whether they are real or ghost projects. In financial year 19-20, of course, we still have border sheds. They were allocated initially 3 million, and in the supplementary budget, 1 million was added. So we want to know where the border sheds for financial year 19-20 are. They costed 4 million. Or in the budget, they should be 4 million. The 1 million was added in the supplementary budget. So if I am able to get that, Chair, that would be, I think, a step to the right direction. Thank you, Chair.
So before I give Honorable Fred, your team kindly, we don't want verbal response to this. What you want you to do, I rule that you bring us a report based on what Honorable Cynthia has asked, a complete report on border sheds in the last 3 financial years, 18-19, 19-20, and any, if it was advertised, no, if it was budgeted for 2020. I don't think they're there. Yeah. Honorable Fred.
Nauliza maswali kuhusu kuna stalls nimejengewa Namgoi na wasiri. Tuseme tu threat. Mpaka saa hii ijawahi fanya kazi, na juzi nilikuwa nasikia wanataka kuweka lami. Watu ya sijui ni Kera ama Kera wanataka kung'oa. Haijafanya kazi, haijafanya. Na ndio nilikuwa nashangaa kama wananchi wangetumia, kwa sababu huyo mtu atalipwa namna gani? Kama Kera wakuja wang'oe waweke lami na haijafanya kazi. Ndio ningependa kuuliza, kwa sababu kama walifanya inspection hata kama haijalipwa, si wananchi watumie basi. Kwa sababu kama mtu umemalizana na yeye, hiyo ni shughuli ya kaunti ya Nandi ndio ilikuwa na. Alafu ya pili kulikuwa na kama ward ya Kapsabet. Hiyo tu peke yake sijui nini ilifanyika. Hakuna kitu nimewaifanywa. Hata hiyo nafikiri hiyo ilikuwa ya muda mrefu. Mimi nilipambana kutafuta mpaka nikajengwa. Ndio ningependa kuuliza threat ya kwamba sijui Kapsabet ilikosea nini hii ministry ya threat, kwa sababu hakuna kitu nimeona Kapsabet mzima. Hata nafikiri mkienda hapa town yale inafanyika hapa ni ile ya administration. Lakini ya threat sijawahi ona. Niliona tu nyumba nyingine imejengwa mpaka nusu. Ndio ningependa kuuliza hapa hiyo ni ya nini? Ya kazi gani? Kwa sababu naona imejengwa mpaka nusu imesimama. Alafu ya kumalizia tungependa pia tufanye kazi na kamati ya threat. Kwa sababu watufanye kazi na nyinyi. Mtu anaenda site visit kwa MCA na hajaambia anajenga nini? Kama mimi niliitwa nikaambiwa kuna mtu anaiba shamba. Mchanga imesukishwa, kufika pale kusikia nafikiri Toyet ndiye alinipigia simu. Akasema hiyo ni yetu. Sasa nikarudi nyuma kwa sababu tulikuwa na watu 10, tulitaka kuangusha hiyo ukuta. Tukifikiri mtu anaiba shamba, kumbe ni kazi. Sasa unajua ningeomba tufanye kazi pamoja, kwa sababu mtu akinipigia, unajua hata ukienda pale mtu atatupigia simu kama waheshimiwa. Na saa hiyo wanaharibu, wanaongea vitu yenye si mzuri. Baadaye nilipoona hiyo kazi mlikuwa mnafanya ilikuwa kazi mzuri, kwa sababu ilikuwa ya training. Ndio naona mimi nikatoka nikaenda. Hiyo ndio inasaidia. Alafu pia unajua sisi tunaweza ongea mambo tofauti na nyinyi. Mimi naweza ulizwa maswali niongee vitu vingine. Waziri akienda pale wataona hii serikali kuna ujanja ndani. Ni mzuri tufanye kazi pamoja ili tujue yale inaendelea yote.
Asante Bwana Toweta and your team. Waziri, before you launch any project, you see now we have issues here. Number one, the stalls on this road going to KCC. Now if you build stalls on a road reserve and then they are demolished, who is going to carry the cost? Number two, involve members of county assembly when you're going to launch a project. Don't just go to site and start a project before involving them. As Honorable Fred has said, you know, we have had so many issues in Kapsabet. Lastly, maybe you can respond to the stalls in Namgwe.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I also share the same pain with Mheshimiwa because one problem of Kapsabet town, it has some unique problems. One is the issue of space to do any project. You remember even when we were having this issue about putting the mask, where I'm also in that committee, to get the space to put the mask was a real challenge. Now, we really wanted, we had earmarked that stall for, as Mheshimiwa is actually saying, and we really wanted to do for him, and he wanted it somewhere around Namgwe. And it was a real challenge for us, which I don't know what we could have really done, because initially we thought we would put it on the other side of the road, but Kenya guys were very adamant on us. So we are praying that the tarmacking of the KCC road was going to delay a little bit, because already I was aware that they are tarmacking the road. But we needed to do it, because, you know, government can sometimes promise to do something in the next 10 years. And I was of that idea of Fred, that Mheshimiwa Fred, that it will take some time and we will use it. We were in the discussion in the office yesterday about being utilized. And I directed the CEOs and the project and my director that there is no contract between a contractor who has not been paid and the issue of locking a stall or a structure which is built for the government. Payment are totally different things. And we had said, all those things which we've done, beginning from Lesos, you remember we talked about Lesos, and this one for Namgwe, that we have to open them so that people use. Now, remember the one which is there, which is already rotting, and no one has ever used it. So I totally agree with Mheshimiwa, and also your statement, Chair, allow us to not to peg payments to someone allowing the public to use the facilities that have been available for them. And I want to promise this team that we are going to give you the list of, we have, in fact, that one is ready, the list as how Honorable Shinde was saying, the status and the locations and even pictures of those projects that already we've done in this department based on the words. And about the difference between a Chuakali shed and a market stall, yeah, I think I'll give you the technical person to explain to you, maybe in writing, when they're bringing back all the other documents. And on pending bills, it's true, we have some pending, we paid some, and as at yesterday, how much was remaining? Director, we were discussing yesterday. You had given me a figure. Pending bills.
Unajua kabla hujapatia huyo, kuna kama mimi mheshimiwa hapa Kapsabet, mimi najua penye shamba ya serikali iko kila kitu. Unajua kama nisipoulizwa sasa, unajua yale mambo yote pesa itakuwa inapotea. Pengine utakuwa umeniwekea pesa, lakini kwa sababu sikuulizwa, ndio nikasema pia lazima tukae chini tuone. Kwa sababu nilisikia ati kuna sijui inaitwa imenishinda kati ya hiyo market stall na hiyo. Ndio nilikuwa nangojea ndio ni
and
you will bring your picture. I submit that. May we bring you pictures of the two?
Yeah, I don't know whether the technical team has been able to explain the difference between a stall and a Juakali shed. Because I remember when I came to the office, when I met the former director, I told them I want my own design based on the site and based on what I want those people to use the Juakali sheds for.
Through the chair, actually, I'm glad that this is the way we should have started, because we want to design these projects for the user. We want to design these projects for the client. Now we came up with the Juakali shed so that it's an experiment. We do one and then we make adjustments as we go. So your input will be highly taken into account. We also have, apart from the two that you know, Mheshimiwa Fred, we have a typical rural market shed, apart from the modern market stalls. So these are things we would really like your input as we continue offering this.
Thank you, Honorable Bambok.
Chairman, moja niongezea Bamboka ongee. Kuna siku nilienda Harambee Kilibwani Center. Tukaona sijui hiyo ni stall au ndio nilikuwa nataka niulize nafikiri mheshimiwa Cindy atajibu kwa sababu mimi niliona wananchi waliniuliza maswali nikashangaa sasa mpaka nikauliza sikuwa nimesoma nikauliza mtu hii ni account wananiambia usisome hapo mheshimiwa ilikuwa imeenda ukuta nikaangalia vile hata ilijengwa unajua hata kama yeye ni engineer huwezi jenga kitu kama hiyo kwa account ya Nandi sijui kama huyu alilipwa nafikiri mheshimiwa Cindy atatuambia kwa sababu tulishangaa na wananchi sana wananchi walituonesha akasema hii ni pesa ngapi iliwekwa pesa ngapi kwa sababu imejengwa na mbao Mheshimiwa Cindy utusaidie.
Just before the Cynthia, of course the three of us had attended that Harambee. And just like even the one in Koilot, the fencing, of course the fencing was done maybe 7 years ago. And of course it was business for people. Ilikuwa biashara ya watu fulani. Fencing. Now maybe we need a whole time to explain these fenced trade or markets. Because they have been fenced, they use a lot of money, but nobody is using them. Like the one Honorable Fred is talking about, in fact, I told Honorable Cynthia this is an embarrassment. Honorable Cynthia, can you say something?
Honorable Chair, of course, those are part of my problems, just like Honorable Fred is saying. First, of course, I've had issues of maybe 1 or 2 persons who were interested in using the stools. And of course, they were like, where do we even get a license to go and use the stall? Because I think there should be a procedure of allocating those stalls to them. That notwithstanding, Honorable Chair, that thing is, I don't even know how to describe it. And those people literally want to pull it out of there. They're saying we should have used this field for football or something else because it's not really helping. But that is a story for another day, Honorable Chair. We need to find time to be able to look into the details of those things so that I can be able to decide on something. Honorable Chair, allow me to just say the last thing about the CCM has said payment for projects should not be used as a reason for people not to be able to use the projects. Honorable Chair, I want to disagree with him in totality. When a project is complete, just pay them and forget about these fights of that illegality of if you've not been paid, you should just allow us to use the project. It is an illegality. So when the project is complete, just pay it and forget about it and use it because it is yours after you have paid it and after it is complete so that we stop these petty fights. We have so many projects that have not been used because contractors have not been paid. And you know, Honorable Chair, allow me, I'm not siding with them, but Honorable Chair, when you have done your work diligently and have the end product, the only other thing that should be done is you get paid and you get going and they use their project, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Bambok.
Thank you, Chairman. There was something to do with the Boda sheet. There were some in my ward which the funds had been allocated in 2018, 2019, and even the contractor had been taken to the sites. And then later on, nothing has been done up to now. And yet, by then, the contractors who could have gone to do the work had been given the permission to go there. Even I went myself. So I am now complaining, as Cindy has said, it's among the list that have been piling up and not yet done. So that is my request, because those ones I knew, and there is another one again. I know those which have been put in Mosoria along the Kena Road. But those ones, I know when the time comes. Last week, when I went and I met those Pota Pota, and the team Mamamboka, they say that they are so temporary, they are going to be removed maybe this week. So those are the issues again that will help us. If you can give us in advance so that we can tell them these are within, although those ones are in the Kenya Nini, we have to assist them again that you move to sites that the trade can be done. Maybe you can ship them to the interior part of the market in time. You know, when they are ambushed, for example, myself, I didn't know, but they called me. That's the two issues I have.
Thank you, Honorable Bambok. Just before you respond, I always sympathize with the people of Mosoria, those who do business. I don't know whether it would be within your jurisdiction, because Mosoria is like a bomber during the rainy seasons. It's not conducive for doing business. I know maybe our budgets may not allow, but that is closing our minds. Waziri, can you write a proposal to, is it Kena or Kera, so that we can do Cabro paving for the people of Mosoria?
Thank you.
Waziri, can you do that as soon as possible?
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to report to you that we had a meeting with Kenya people about that problem of Mheshimiwa Bambok is very common. It's really a real issue, and it is not only limited to your place. I remember we had through the chair that at Chepsonoi, we had a site, but we could not be able to build a shed because of those technicalities about location, the road, where is the market, that kind of thing. We made a request, and I had a meeting with the guys of Kenya, and I requested them that, is it possible you allow us to put, the whole story began from those mamas who sell mbogas mainly around Kingwal. Is it possible for us to allocate for us a section, and then we do nice, neat stalls, which are under your supervision? And they're like, yeah, it's possible, but you have to go through the approval process of Kenya. But then, trying to follow that process, I realized it was not a very easy process. We were in the conference in what do you call the former DCS devolution conference in not Nyeri, Kirinyaga. We were in conference in Kirinyaga, and we saw nice stalls, and that is what informs the mix-up in these ones. We saw some shades which mamambogas can just be done for along the roads. Very beautiful ones. It's long, it carries almost 100 mamas, and it is shaded, they get shade from they're protected from the lights and rains and everything, but it is just alongside the road. So that is what we wanted to do for those mamambogas and the ladies who are at the river there. But as I told you, the process of getting that kind of approval, because they are saying they don't allow anything that you construct, even including a toilet. Now that's where our challenge was again. So the only thing they said was, you acquire land just adjacent to the road, and we'll be able to, you can do whatever you want, but we cannot allow you. But the only thing they can allow you is the paving thing. They are calling it beautification, but with no structure. So you can beautify for mamambogas without a structure. Now it defeats the logic again. No, that's the mix that we have. Now, about what Honorable Cynthia said, it is a very painful issue we have at the department. We have toilets which were constructed way around 7 years ago. They have not been paid. Some had issues of paperwork, because the problems of each one of them are varied. The others who paperwork had issues, ABC, so we've not. So they've not been paid to date. Now, at that point, now, I don't know what we need to do. Probably we will need maybe guidance or consultation amongst ourselves to know what we are going to do in such a scenario. A guy has built, it's complete, but probably maybe some paperwork were lacking somehow. We are happy because later on, most of the ones pending bills we have are issue of only availability of money, which is just holding some to be paid. But I must report that the issues on each of those shades are varied from one to another. So I think we need to see a way of addressing each one of them and finishing with them within a proper timeline. Otherwise, it's a right of a contractor to pay it once work has been done. Otherwise, thanks, Chair.
Maybe, Wasiri, because we appreciate, although with a lot of challenges, the work you are doing. One question I would ask on the issue of Kaipoi toilet, which arose about 2 weeks ago or last week. And I was asking myself, the budget we passed in this house, that is in June, up to, let's say, as we talk, we have not tendered anything. So that we can find ourselves in an awkward position, such issues arising. Yet we have allocated those funds in those projects. And number two, the way Honorable Cindy said, maybe some other projects has been allocated already in the budget. We know we have limitation of funds, but some of the projects which have been already allocated funds, those at least you could have given priority and tendered the same projects so that it can allow people to enjoy the services. Like the issue of porta sheets. We have about around 10 porta sheets, which has been captured in this budget for 2020-2021. Yet, the project has not been tendered. We are remaining with some few months before we close the year. So it is a request that why don't you, with the support of the other team of procurement, ensure that this work is done on time so that we can avoid such issues arising like the one for Kaiboi, which actually put county in an awkward position. Otherwise, we appreciate the work you are doing. But when we work as a team, the way Honorable Brett was saying, at least we can solve some issues. Yeah, thank you.
Allow me, Waziri, to ask Dr. Boyd this directly. We were in Olesos. You remember we were in Olesos in 2019?
Yes.
Yeah. You made a pledge. You see, we cannot forget. We made a pledge to the people of Olesos that we would have a modern ablution. Unfortunately, 2020, not in the budget. So I'm only requesting you, as we prepare the 21-22 budget, kindly, make sure that it is in that budget.
I'll do that, Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll do it.
So
and for Kaiboi, we have already awarded because it was quite a problem. So something is being done for Kaiboi.
Thank you. I wish us to end our meeting here. Can we propose for adjournment?
I, Honorable Walter Teno, propose for adjournment.
Cynthia Muga, second.
Thank you, team. Thank you, members, for being patient. We have another meeting coming before the plenary at 2:30. Thank you.
You're okay?
I'm okay.
Katinyo namasitwe. Sawa.